Ready for a change?
I am talking to you.
Then get ready to explore the quantum possibilities. It's time to transform that outdated paradigm into something universal and new. Time to uncover the truth hidden beneath the veil of lies. A time to think outside the box as we link to a higher consciousness. Welcome to the awakening. And now the hosts of Broadcast Team Alpha, Nori Love and Augie Nost.
Well, hello, magical moonbeams. How are you? I see you guys. It's Tuesday, and we, again, are so happy to be here. So happy to have you in the chat room or have you at home, or maybe you're even watching this or listening to it on the replay or in the archives. And we are doing something a little different tonight, and Augie and I we're going to talk to you, just you and us, and without a guest. So if you would like to contribute to the conversation or ask any questions, please let us know. You can put it in the chat, and we would love to talk with you. And, you know, we hear so much now. Well, maybe before the pandemic, we heard it more because we're a little distracted, right? But we hear so much about mind over matter, and, you know, epigenetics is mind over matter. But what if we didn't really have the intentional skill to do mind over matter? What if parts of our mind actually controlled us by habit? Because from when we're in the womb until we're 7 years old, we're developing associations and impressions about life from the people, the places, and the things that are all around us, right? So we like cookies, right? We don't like Brussels sprouts. When Dad gets drunk, chocolate cake really helps because that's what helped Mom. So, you know, cigarette smoking made me cough my brains out, but I wanted to be one of the cool kids, right? So those habits like trickle in for us. I mean, we could even pick up the habit of being attached to unhealthy relationships based on what we heard between in the womb and 7. So we're going to talk about this tonight because a lot of the things that we do, but we really don't want to do, we want to stop doing, happens because of exactly what we're talking about, the impressions or the thoughts or the images that are in the subconscious mind. So we're going to talk about that tonight. Augie, are you ready to talk about this?
Oh, absolutely. I will be all ears and whatever else. I think there's a lot to talk about here because the mind is not necessarily the same as the brain. So we have things that a lot of people don't think about when they talk about, oh yeah, I'll just make a decision and I'm going to go do and create a new habit. Well, okay, we can make the decision, but decisions are not lasting if they're only placed in our conscious mind. It's got to get into the subconscious mind, and that's where the big changes are happening. And that's what you are an expert at, Nori, because you are also a hypnotherapist.
I am. I love hypnotherapy.
Yeah, I would love to hear you talk about that, because once you get into the subconscious mind, and that's where a lot of the magic happens, and it goes even from there into the superconscious mind. So I'm going to be listening to you tonight.
No, you're going to be talking with me.
I know. No.
So this is what I was talking about when we first began, that, you know, all of those impressions are in our subconscious mind. So let's say that we want to release 30 pounds. Hello, Karen. we want to release 30 pounds, and we keep doing diets and going running and, eating, peas and carrots or whatever. And you just can't seem to get where you want to get to, because there is that image of yourself, or that belief, that limited belief of yourself that you picked up. Okay, I picked it up when I was on the beach, as a teenager, and my cousin called me Goodyear. For years, no matter how hard I tried to release weight, and I was obese, I just couldn't seem to do it. So it wasn't until I actually realized that I had that self-limiting belief embedded in my subconscious mind that I was able to begin to shift it. And that's part of the reason that I got interested into self-hypnosis back then. And I was really good at it. I mean, I'm really good at hypnosis with other people now, but not as practiced as I was with myself,
Yeah, and another thing too, kids are cruel.
Oh, yeah.
They can be cruel. But the thing about it is, Nori, is that when you were 10 years old and your cousin called you Goodyear, that may have been a stepping stone for you that reached inside of your subconscious and said, nope, I'm not going to be that way forever. And your decision was made right there. If he hadn't said it, chances are you never may have made that decision, do you think?
Oh, well, that's very true. That's a really good point, because it was extraordinarily painful. I mean, it was really painful. Here I was, a teenager, I stopped getting on the scale at 210 pounds, but for some reason that didn't really clue me into the fact that I was obese. And I was on the beach that day in a two-piece bathing suit, thinking that I was like everybody else, until he called me Goodyear, and I looked at myself, and that was the first time that I realized that I was really obese. And it was a very painful awakening. But how many changes like that are preceded, by some sort of painful event? It's the contrast that inspires us to make a change. So I am forever grateful to him for that. But the important thing is, somewhere back in the day, I made the decision to be able to eat the way that I did. And believe me, I wasn't doing anything healthy. My parents had an additional freezer in the garage where they stored all kinds of, pastries and cookies and, all of the food that we would save for when company comes, air quotes. And, I was just binging on them. So somewhere, this isn't about me. I'm just trying to get to the point that somewhere I made a decision that eating that way was the new normal for me. And I didn't really recognize what the consequences were until that day on the beach. And that's when I decided to go in and shift that limiting belief, shift that vision of me forever being that girl on the beach that was obese and who put her father's bathing suit jacket on and it fit, and my dad was like 6'3". So you can imagine how big I really was. So that's what we're going to talk about. Like, you can get into the hypnotic mind. No, you can get into the subconscious mind in so many ways, and all of the methods that are popular right now really kind of gear toward that. Neuro-linguistic programming. So you're changing the way that you think about your thoughts. So that's a way to get into the subconscious mind, but it takes a lot of practice. It takes doing it over and over and over and over again. Frequency, right? Frequency tones, that works too. But again, it works over time. Affirmations, writing affirmations, writing an oath, repeating the oath, that works too, but it works over time. Whereas with hypnotherapy, you get into a really relaxed state where the buffer, or the gateway or the padlock to the subconscious mind is. And when you get really comfortable and you're almost sleepy but not quite sleepy, and almost meditating but not quite meditating, the protective part of our brain says, oh yeah, this is feeling really good, and it just like pops that padlock open so that we can go in there and just give a new message to what was in there before. So, that the first message I gave myself was that I eat for health and well-being, because I was clearly eating for sport. If it's a fear of flying, we would address that in a different way. If it's anxiety and that manifests in nail biting or panic attacks. I mean, now panic attacks is a medical, a psychiatric diagnosis. So I would only do that with a referral, from the psychiatric practitioner, but we could work on that. It could be snakes, it could be spiders, it could be closed spaces. I mean, how many people can't go into an MRI machine, because of that? So there's so many reasons to use hypnotherapy. What are you thinking of, Augie?
Well, I just want to, when you said something here, you made the decision to eat for good health. The thing is about the body knows what good health is, and it knows how to have it. So you kind of ordered the subconscious to do those things, even though you may not have thought about it or even know what actually eating for good health was, but the body knows. And then again, another thing when it comes to weight and nutrition and stuff, you can reset the biological clock in the body so it burns calories faster, and you will never know the difference except for looking at the scale coming down. So you kind of ordered the body to take care of it for me in a way. Mm-hmm. Isn't that kind of close?
Absolutely. And our subconscious mind, it's a magical place. There are treasure chests of power and answers, and really all of the answers that you would ever be looking for, that you're seeking, really are within you. And when people say, the answer is within, it really is. And I personally believe that it's housed in the subconscious mind, because I've seen it play out time and time and time again. It's just amazing. And, when you give your subconscious mind something else to do, okay, subconscious mind, I want to eat, guide me to the foods that are healthy, make me feel satisfied with foods that are healthy. My subconscious mind began to do that. Now, I needed a lot more than that, because, at 210 pounds, I had a lot of really bad habits. So it took more than that. But I've seen people have amazing success, with one or two sessions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. When you reach into the subconscious mind with hypnosis, sometimes one session is all it takes, but very often you could need 2 or 3 to solidify that one. And I'm going to take 30 seconds and say something about quitting smoking, because back in the days when I was doing hypnosis, that's one of the things that was so fun to see the results of. Because people, I kind of did it maybe a little, well, maybe others wouldn't do it that way, but I told people when I'm really deep down, told them that when you next time take a cigarette and take a whiff of it, it will smell like cow manure. And for some reason, they tried it maybe, but they quit. Chances are they didn't like cow manure. But that is one of the tricks that I use. And I know other people don't do that. There's more pleasurable ways to do this, but that's what I use. But that's just an example that once you reach into the subconscious, you can get to the core, or you can overlay the bad habit or the message that is in there polluting you. And
right.
This really can make a big difference for people, just small things like this.
And the core that you're speaking of is what I call the limiting decision. There's a moment in time where, we're coughing our brains out as a teenager trying to smoke cigarettes, and, everything in our body is telling us, don't do that, get that vile thing away from me. But we override it with the desire to be cool like our friends, or to be like our uncle or our grandfather or whatever. And we override it and we make that limiting decision, I'm a smoker. So when we go in there and change that, right, shift that limiting decision to a new decision, which we always have the opportunity to do, then we decide new things. Then we become a non-smoker. Then we become a runner or a dancer or whatever it is that you're a speaker, whatever it is that you really want to do.
And the thing about hypnosis also is that it doesn't necessarily have to be done in person. My good example on that is that when I was hosting those 2 TV shows in Tucson here years ago, I did, I think, 2 different TV shows where I was doing a hypnosis session on the air, live, for people to quit smoke. And for the next probably 2 or 3 years, so there were people coming up to me on the street and saying, hey, do you remember that hypnosis session you did? I quit smoking, it worked. It wasn't that many, maybe about 4 or 5 or so, but it did happen. And now you're doing somewhat similar. You could work with somebody in Bangladesh and they will have the same effects because
Absolutely.
You're doing it on the internet.
Right. I mean, so many things now are happening, on Zoom or on Skype. So it's a great time for that. But absolutely, you don't have to be in person. I forgot what I wanted to say. It just flew out of my head.
It's gonna flow back. The non-local treatments that people can have in a simple way. It will, when I was visiting you, you put me under and we did a session in person. And, I don't even want to talk about that one. It looked like a dead fish laying there. So, but this is something that people can do in an hour's time, and they can have the seed for something really great and great change.
Right. And I remember what I wanted to say. I don't use negative associations with my clients. I just don't, because I don't want somebody smelling cow manure if they fall off their program and have a cigarette. I like to use more positive, and friendly associations.
Yeah, I like that better too, because if I was going to do something like that now, I wouldn't use it either. And staying on the positive side is much better.
Yeah, it was a thing back in the day, and it does work. I mean, it really does work, but it's not in alignment with my practice. So yeah, it's good. But like I was saying before, if you imagine all of those things that we talked about that were in there, right? Like, I like cookies. I don't like Brussels sprouts. Chocolate cake helps me when anybody gets drunk, because that worked for Mom. Maybe you guys in the audience can think of some things that you've learned, right, or taken on by osmosis during that time, that if you made that decision today, you probably wouldn't make the decision. I'm trying to think of, overcoming the food thing for me was so huge. And of course, there was a period of time I smoked for a little while, so I had to shift that. But if you think about those things that are in your subconscious mind that keep playing out over and over and over and over and over again, like, oh my God, I cannot believe this is happening again. I can't believe I'm doing this again. if you imagine that those are like viruses, if you will, hypnosis can act as the antivirus software of the mind.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let me talk to the people in the chat room for just a second.
Okay.
If there is anybody out there that know they have a bad habit that they would like to get rid of, let us know and we can talk to that specifically.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard for us to admit that we have bad habit, but I got about, I don't know, I've run out of fingers to count on it, so I'm...
No, you do not.
I hope you're laughing with me, Noria, not at me.
I am. I think we'd have to put you under hypnotherapy for your butter addiction.
Oh, yeah, but it's so good.
I know, but butter on pastrami, and I don't know, that just seems like overload.
Oh, it's so good, Noria. You should try it sometime.
No, I'm good. I'm really good. But yeah, thank you.
Well, we got 3 minutes left here, so if anybody wants to ask us something, we could talk to that now or after the break. When we come back after the break, there's one thing that I want to talk just about for about 2 minutes about, and it's something that is really wonderful. I just found out about it recently. This is something that can actually improve people with ADD and learning deficiencies and improve memory and do all kinds of things like that. It's so simple. It can be done in 2 or 3 minutes, and there's a doctor talking about it, and I'm going to let you know what he's saying. This is wonderful. And it's then again, I would love to have Nori talk a little bit more about mind conditioning. I guess that's probably an acceptable word for success and health, because that can really also be done through hypnosis in a very great way.
So JC says, I eat bad foods to accommodate for stress and severe lack of social interaction. Now, isn't everybody kind of doing that, JC? Not to minimize what you're saying, and thank you for being so honest and vulnerable. I don't know who's not doing that right now. But when we come back from the break, we're going to talk about that some more. So I think we've got about 30 seconds. And like I said, I do appreciate you saying that. But what other things do we do for stress? Cigarette smoking, worrying, nail biting, drinking, right? We'll see you on the other side.
This is the Broadcast Team Alpha Show, hosted by Nori Love and Augie Nost. The one show that takes your doubts of the unknown and spins them into reality. Share your thoughts by calling our hotline number at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Call now. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio. More cutting-edge conversation and exploration of the quantum universe after this. Immerse yourself in an epic journey through time where ancient mysteries unfold within a story of love and betrayal, as well as a battle of good versus evil in The Emissary Book 1. The reader's favorite gold medal award winner for Visionary Fiction 2019, the action and adventure of The Emissary continues in The Emerald Tablet, Book 2. The 2019's Bronze Medal Award winner, The Emissary and The Emerald Tablet by Tamara Veach and Rennie DeFazio are both available now on Amazon.com. Let your reading adventure begin.
Great. It's great. I think it's great.
The all-new KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Great.
Make a note of it.
It's great.
If ever a breed was affectionate to a fault, it's the Golden Retriever. They're people dogs, pure and simple. And the Golden Retriever Rescue of Southern Nevada needs your help. If you would like to volunteer, foster, adopt, or donate, go to the Golden Retriever Rescue of Southern Nevada's website at grrsn.org. That's grrsn.org. Or call 598-GOLD. That's 598-GOLD.
If you love them enough to listen to them practice the same song on tuba,
Please be done.
over and over and over and over and over, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
Sounds good, honey.
Check today at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Looking for a radio show like no other?
We need something brand new.
Then tune into the KCOR Digital Radio Network, Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, and get ready for The Quantum Shift. A great shift of consciousness is sweeping across the Earth. Are you ready for the dimensional shift?
It is amazing, is it not?
The Quantum Shift. Quantum Shift. Quantum Shift. Hosted by Dr. Sam Muggsy, Kent Dunn, and Gary Parson. Be part of the fifth dimensional reality, where consciousness prevails and the universal law of one is the only true reality. The Quantum Shift. Quantum Shift. Quantum Shift. Quantum Shift. Live Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Going live.
Come explore the quantum possibilities. This is Broadcast Team Alpha.
Broadcast Team Alpha.
To be on the show live, call 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio. Share your thoughts of the show on Twitter at KCOR Radio, #KCOR. Or join the cutting edge conversation live in our chat room at www.kcorradio.com. Now back to Broadcast Team Alpha with your free thinking hosts, Nori Love and Augie Nast.
Hey guys, big shout out to the chat room. Hi Yappy, I see your question. We're going to definitely talk about that. Hello Wave Rider, hello Undone. Summer is here, Sal Gal 8 is here, Rob is here, Parked Cake is here, Nori's here, Mary Poppins 2, Lisa is here, Karen, Joe Marco is here, JC, Jade, Iowa Girl, hello, Doc Who is here, and the amazing, beautiful, talented, and rich Tina Marie is here. Augie, do you want to take the question or do you want to talk about brain yoga first?
Oh, I just want to maybe spend the next 2 minutes talking about something that I researched and I found it to have a phenomenal advantage and a great benefit to people. And that is something called brain yoga. And it is a simple exercise that you can do where you position your hands in a certain way and touch your head in a certain way. And there's a doctor on a video that we have on our Patreon page at the Mastermind Connection that explains first of all how it works and the advantages. And I have researched the background on it, and I find out that people and kids with ADD and learning disabilities, once they start doing this in school, they have phenomenal increase in their scholastic results. And like maybe acing tests when they really even didn't want to take tests before. And also there are some that saying that it even improves or take away a part or a great improvement in Alzheimer's.
Oh, that's interesting.
That I don't really understand, but That's what the testimonies say. And remember now, I'm just talking about other people's testimonies. So this is something that you should really, if you have a kid with ADD, or if you got learning disabilities, or something that you want to do to synchronize the two hemispheres of the brain, in fact, also increases psychic abilities. So this, what you do here, is synchronizes the two hemispheres of the brain, so the two of them start talking to each other more than they're otherwise doing. And go to patreon.com/the mastermind connection. I'm going to spell that first one. That's patreon.com. That is patreon.com/the mastermind connection. If you go there, scroll down a little bit, there's probably somewhere around 10, 15, maybe 20 posts down into the stream. You will find this brain yoga. There's a picture of a doctor there, and you can see this. I think it's short video, 6-7 minutes. You can handle that. So this is something that I think you really need to know about. And if you want to connect with us there also, send us an email to themastermindconnection@gmail.com, and we can send you information about how to participate in a mastermind session where we do some wonderful and amazing things in there. And you're going to love being part of that if you would select to do so. And that's all I wanted to say about brain yoga, Nori.
Okay,
So,
all right. And brain yoga is, I mean, like you imagine your brain doing a downward facing dog. It's not that. It's actually having certain movements with your hands, where you put your hands and then you do a squat. So it's about 7 to 10 minutes of that. So just to clear that up a little bit, because it's kind of nebulous. But Yappy said, I like the hypnosis, but I had learned about mind control before hypnosis, and I never wanted anyone to access to myself. I never wanted anyone to access myself. How can I overcome that trust? So that's a great question. And the most important thing that I want to say is that you are always in control. You are always in control when you're under hypnosis. Hypnosis is not like mind control. But the second most important thing is you have to have a rapport with the person who's doing hypnotherapy with you. You know, it's so important. I mean, I don't really take clients if I don't have a rapport with them, because I can't be as effective as if I did. So if we're not clicking on all cylinders when we're having our consultation, then, you know, I would refer them to somebody else. But you could absolutely, excuse me, you could absolutely develop trust around that with those two. Well, knowing first of all that you're always in control, and second of all that you really like and trust the person who's going to put you through hypnotherapy. And you know, there's ways to do it where you just put your toe in the water. You know, maybe you just go through a relaxation in one session. Maybe you go through a relaxation and, you know, have the imagery of going downstairs, so you actually get a little bit more into the hypnotic state. Most of my clients, not most of them, maybe about 80% of my clients talk to me during the hypnotic process. They, you know, we build it in that they stay in the hypnotic state and can still communicate with me. And it's not like, you know, somebody gives you sodium pentothal, you know, and you tell all your stories. It's not like that at all. It's, you know, kind of that feeling that when you've been on a long drive and all of a sudden you're home and you go, wow, how did I get here? You know, you don't remember getting there. That's the hypnotic state. Or when you kind of zone off during a movie and you come back and you don't remember what happened for the last hour. That's the hypnotic state. It's a natural state of being. And we do it naturally 2 times a day. We do it right before we go to sleep. You know, that dreamy state that if you kind of look at what you're thinking, you'll think that you're going crazy because your thoughts are just like all over the board. And then again when you wake up in the morning. So that's an amazing time to plant the suggestions that you want in your subconscious mind the minute you wake up. So if you wake up saying, oh my God, I didn't sleep well, I'm going to be tired all day, guess what's going to happen? Exactly that. But if you wake up and go, wow, it's going to be an amazing day and I'm going to feel good, that actually is likely to happen. So thank you for that, Yappy. I so appreciate it. Then Salgal8 said, what if you found out you were messed with by your father before the age of 3 and can't seem to have a real relationship, always the one to leave the relationship because your subconscious mind just won't let you get close to someone? So that is something that could really be worked with and you could have great success with. You really could. If there are other factors that are playing out in your life, like with emotional habits or habits that would make you say, maybe I should address this with a psychotherapist first, or with a counselor first, a psychologist first, then get the okay to go, into hypnotherapy. But if it's just like something that you've worked on your lifetime, and I can relate to that, and you've done all the deep work, and there's just some finishing touches, there's definitely a way to do that. And the beautiful part of it is you don't even have to go back and do the primal scream. You don't have to go back to when you're 3 and, and relive that experience. You can actually allow your subconscious mind to speak to you in beautiful and symbolic ways so that you receive the healing and the shift without ever even thinking about what happened initially. So very, very hopeful for that. Yes. And then Rob says, can a person be hypnotized even if their subconscious mind doesn't want to? That's a really good question. Technically, no. But in actuality, it happens. Hypnosis is that state of relaxation that actually can happen in an interesting way. Like when you are on overload, like we're on overload right now in society, when you're on overload, oftentimes just to escape the overload, we kind of go into a hypnotic state. That's why we often hear, that we're hypnotized by the media and we're hypnotized by society, because truly, we have been overloaded, and then we are more suggestible to the things that they're trying to say to us and tell us to do, or whatever it is. But if you came to me and said, my subconscious mind doesn't want to be hypnotized, I would do some questions and see if that's really, really, really true, because that could be something that we picked up along the way, from 0 to 7 or whatever, or a bad experience that somebody else had. So I would explore it to see if it's true. Some people who think they don't want to be hypnotized but have a curiosity about it find out that they're really, really good at going into that relaxed state. So really good questions, everybody. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And I just thought of something here also, and that is that when you're doing this session with someone, I know that I always used to record them. So people will run the recording even if they, let's say they fall asleep or something happened where they are glitches in what they remember. They can go back and say, yeah, everything is cool. If it's right here on the tape, and this is what we did and this is what we accomplished.
Definitely. And I mean, that's good confirmation. But the confirmation that I love the most, excuse me, guys, is the way that your subconscious mind plays out differently in your life. Like I'm working with somebody right now for weight and health. But the interesting thing is that this person has a real limitation about the kinds of food that that they can eat. And it's super limited, like no vegetables, no fruit, lots of sugar, chicken and pizza, real limitations, but the proof is really in the pudding when they don't even think about it and they go to a restaurant after the session, or the next week, and suddenly they find themselves really curious about trying things that they thought they didn't like before. That's the validation that I love the most, really.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's proof in the pudding.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Pudding, no pun intended, but it is something that when you see the evidence of what you did in that hypnosis session, you prove that with evidence to yourself that, wait a minute, I don't like to smoke anymore. What happened? Now, that is a phenomenal feeling.
That is so good. And so I'll tell a story. I did a hypnotherapy session with one of my colleagues when we were going through hypnotherapy training, and Rob says sugar is cancer food. I know it is. And I came out of it with a message from my subconscious mind. And the message was, I'm the mother of the children that I never had. So my conscious mind justified it, saying, oh yeah, I'm all of my patients during my nursing career were my children, or the younger people that I mentor are my children that I never had. So I kind of justified it. So here it is, like all of these years later, and I found out recently during the mastermind session where we make contact with the Pleiadians that I actually. Okay, you guys, I'm probably going to lose credibility with a lot of people, but I'm going to be honest that I actually had an experience so that I do have like hybrid children on another dimension. So that blew me away, because here that was, I am the mother of the children that I never had, thinking that it pertained to, this incarnation here today, when it did have to do with this incarnation, but it had to do with our star family instead. So that was such an aha moment for me. You remember that, Augie?
Oh, yes. Yeah, you told me about that.
Well, you were there.
Yeah.
So, Karen...
And also, that's another thing, is that maybe we should spend a couple of minutes talk about these sessions we do on Sunday.
Okay, well, hang on for 1 second. I just want to address Yappy's.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yappy said, Nori, when you talked about weight loss, I was always thin, nicknamed Stick, always healthy. After I graduated, I ate city chemical food, got sick, and before weighed 100 pounds. Wow, weight got over to 225 pounds, and everybody praised me. You look so much better. Then one day I said I'm as big as a cow, and I went to the doctor and wanted diet pills, and he said that he would never give that to anybody he cares about. Went on paleo, lost down to 85 pounds, and was pure muscle. Wow. But looked heavier and always kept the weight off. Wow. That's amazing. I love that story. Yeah, so we can talk about the mastermind session, because, the mastermind session, we actually use our mind power to create or manifest changes and things in the outside world, but it's more powerful than our individual intentions, because we're joining mind power. So we've evoked changes in weather, in other calamities, in people's health, in people's abundance. So go ahead, Augie. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I just had a talk earlier today with one of the people on the mastermind, and she had some phenomenal results after she started being with us on this, and she's going to talk about that on the next next session. So this is going to be interesting. And I would love to see other people join us because we are doing some incredible things here. And I mentioned it one time, maybe you can too, where they can contact us here.
Right. So you can send us an email to themastermindconnection@gmail.com. Just remember to put the THE in front of it. Yappy said, move the storm from our area. Exactly, Yappy. That's exactly what we're talking about. And that's what we do. And, we have a beautiful guided meditation that is, very loosely structured so that every person can create their own imagery. But we're really working on compassion, around the world, people feeling compassion for each other, people feeling friendly toward each other, even envisioning places where there's rioting and looting, envisioning a change happening there as well. And it's so much fun, and it's just an amazing group of people, and it's free. So if you would like to join us, we would love to have you there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one little example that I just love to talk about, and that is, what is it, a year ago now, when there was a hurricane coming up the coast of Cuba, heading for Florida, a category, bouncing back and forth between a category 4 and a category 5. We, and of course many others around the world, we were concentrating on making this thing fizzle out. And in 90 miles from Cuba to Florida, it fizzled out from a category 5, actually, when it left Cuba, to less than a category 1, which is just a tropical storm, about 60, 70 miles an hour by the time it hit Florida.
Right. I was in North Carolina then. It was headed for us as well. And just to give you guys an example of the guided meditation that we do, we decided to make the storm a non-event, because the language is so important. Yeah. So if we said, okay, it's going to be a category 1, there's parts of us that might push against that and go, oh no, that can never happen. So, I search for the most benign, right, and believable words that we could all accept, and then put our thought energy behind. So we decided that it would just be a non-event, and that allowed for all of the possibilities. So we would love you to join us there. And like I was saying, it's so much fun, and the people there are amazing. Linda, you were talking about law of attraction. Rob said most of us heard of the Pleiadians. Of course, Rob, and I wasn't saying that you didn't hear of the Pleiadians, but I was alluding to my interaction with them, which is a whole story in and of itself. So thank you for that. And then Karen, you were talking about law of attraction, what we focus on, we bring to ourselves. And that's the foundation of my coaching certifications, is law of attraction. And that's another reason why language is so important. So we've got about 4 minutes before we close. Augie, anything you want to say to people, or?
Yeah, I want to dwell on this law of attraction a little bit, because first of all, you are a double certified law of attraction coach, and that's why you're the one that is leading us in this, and we are doing some things that is working for people within the group of the mastermind, and yeah, you're going to hear some of that next time too. And you were trained by one of the people, actually, that everybody remembers the movie The Secret. You were trained by one of the guys that is on that movie The Secret, weren't you?
I'm sorry, I didn't. That broke up a little bit.
Oh, you were trained by one of the people that was on the movie The Secret.
Oh, yeah, Bob Doyle. Bob Doyle was my first certification in law of attraction coaching. And then Christy Whitman, who is just a thought leader when it comes to law of attraction and the universal laws. Yeah. So, Yappy was with us for the for the mastermind where we diverted the storm or where we turned it into a non-event. Awesome. I would love to know who Yappy is now. You're going to have to reveal yourself, Yappy. We've got about 3 minutes before we close, and I just want to thank you guys for being here. I didn't thank you in the beginning. We really appreciate you so much. We appreciate the donations. It helps defray the cost of the show for us. And if this programming resonates with you, and you feel so inclined, if it's in the happiness of your heart, please do consider giving us a donation. And we're just so grateful that you're here and joining minds and joining our energy and asking great questions and just having a good Tuesday night. What do you think, Og?
Oh, absolutely. And I will join you in that one. Come and join us on Sundays. It's at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, East Coast time. And you're going to like it because it's kind of like going home. Is where the atmosphere in this group is. We join with others, great minds. It's kind of like going home. It feels so great.
It's very comfortable. And so the 2 o'clock mastermind is for, benevolent purposes. Like we're masterminding the weather, the chaos that's going on, things like that. Then the 3 o'clock one is for reaching out to extra dimensionals or our star family. And so far for the past 4 weeks, his name is Alchemedes. He comes through with channeled messages. So come by and see us. And if not, we will be back here next week. And Augie, if you could speak to the whole world and they were listening, what would you say?
Oh, that's my favorite question. And that is, go within. Reach in your heart, for that's where the answers are.
Or the subconscious mind.
Yourself.
Bye, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye, Augie.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Broadcast Team Alpha.
Broadcast Team Alpha.
Hosted by Nori Love and Augie Nost. Every Tuesday night at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. The balance of power is shifting to a new paradigm. Will you be ready? For more information on Broadcast Team Alpha, as well as the hosts, Nori Love and Augie Nost, please visit their website at broadcastteamalpha.com. Until next week, remember to keep those minds open while always exploring the endless quantum possibilities.
Broadcast Team Alpha. Over and out.
This is KCOR Las Vegas, home of the Digital Radio Network, broadcasting from a shack just south of Area 51.
Wait, that doesn't exist.
This is the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Now for the news.